Okay, so we didn't get Ruben Bain. I mean, Ruben Bain, I'm sorry. Start off the bat with a mistake. Colin Simmons. I'm going to talk about Ruben Bain. That's why he was on my mind. We didn't get Colin Simmons. Yeah, I that's kind of what I expected. That's kind of what I expected. Yeah, I expected him to go with Texas, but here's the important thing: we didn't get Colin Simmons yet. That is a situation I would continue to monitor. I do believe the flips between now and signing day are going to be insane. Uh, more than ever, I think. Um, and Colin Simmons, to me, that is one that I would definitely keep monitoring because Miami's not going to quit on that one. This young man is a an elite edge rusher. I mean, absolute speed coming off the edge. Um, just his first step, his burst, and his bend. I mean, he's just it's phenomenal. It's that that is some crazy twitchy athleticism I would want on this roster, obviously. So Miami's not going to give up on him. And let's keep in mind, last year after a 5-7 season, we were able to flip Mark Fletcher from Ohio State. Let's just keep that in mind. Okay. So after I saw that last year, I was like, hey, anything's possible. So Colin Simmons, my gut is telling me, um, keep an eye on that one. Let's not give up on that one. Isn't there an offensive lineman announcing on the 12th? Yeah, I believe you were talking about Esendre Afua. That's another one that I'm not feeling great about again at the moment. Um, there's some time between now and the 12th. Hopefully, Ayo, what's up, man? There's some time between now and then. So Miami could make up some ground. You never know. This recruiting to me is as unpredictable as it's ever been. So, yes, as I kicked off the show, we did not get Colin Simmons. Otherwise, this would have been a completely different show. So I will not be covering Colin Simmons. I will just be wishing him well. I think should he stick with his Texas pledge, I think he'll do great things there. So, but again, Mario's not going to give up on him. So let's see what happens. But if he ends up at Texas, I wish him the best. Any trench bullies? Are you talking about the team right now, or are you talking about future recruits? Because I think we got a couple of trench bullies right now in the class. Wait till the sky isn't falling. Yeah, this is exactly why I hop on Twitter briefly for my news when something like this happens to kind of take a temperature of the fan base, and I get right out because sitting in there for more than 5 minutes, I think it is harmful to your health. I really do. Future ones. I think Eddie Pierre-Louis is still out there. I think he's our top interior lineman / center target. So that's the only one right now that I can think of. And then of course on defense, you got David Stone. You got our boy Kamarian Franklin. You got, and really just regardless of position, you got Elias Rudolph, Chris Cole, Zaquan Patterson, outside shot at Aiden Breland. And then some guys were working on flipping. So, there's still a lot of big time blue chip prospects to go out and get. So not too concerned. The season's about to start, like I've been saying all off season, that we are going to need to show something on the field. We're going to need to win some ball games, and these first 5 or 6 games are a great opportunity to do that. I think the schedule gets much harder the last half of the season, the second set of 6 games. But you open up with Miami of Ohio, who we've discussed. They're not bad. They're like a 6-7 win team every year at their level, though. They're a bowl team, yes, at their level. So you got to keep that in mind. That does matter, in my opinion. I know we lost to Middle Tennessee last year. This is literally a different roster, so I don't care what happened last year. different roster, different scheme on both sides of the ball. This is literally a new team. It's almost like Mario went through year one. He's hitting the reset button. He's going through year one again. So you have a chance to look. You have a chance to really impress these first couple of games. Miami of Ohio, don't turn the ball over. Make a few plays. We'll be fine. Texas A&M, very winnable game, in my opinion. I think they're a little overinflated, a little overrated. A lot of people have them in their top 25. I think we could beat Texas A&M. I really do. The other three games that have teams in the top 25, opponents of ours in the top 25, those are going to be a little tougher. UNC is a more winnable, is a winnable game. The other two, FSU, Clemson, a lot harder, but they're in the second half of the season. First half of the season, you can get off to that 4-1, 5-0 start, and things could get interesting on the recruiting trail. People gain too much weight. I wanted to make sure we do this. No problem. Like I said the other day, Mitch and I are working on something when it comes to player size, how much it's changed in the last couple of years. But yeah, Miami has a chance to impress some people in these first two games. You starting off 2-0, beating Texas A&M, that would be massive. I'm telling you, you're going to see some movement on the recruiting trail when it comes to Miami's targets, both committed and uncommitted. Okay? So that's just my 2 cents on that. Still a lot of targets for us to go get. We didn't get Colin, unfortunately. Wish him the best, but let's see what happens. All right, so now on to fall camp. I normally don't do this. I normally don't watch the coaches' press conferences after practice. I normally don't watch the players' press conferences because usually it's not a good indicator of how they're going to do this season. More often than not, they're saying all the right things. They're saying all the things you want to hear. They know what we want to hear. So I don't really bother listening to them. But I figured, you know what? Let me take a listen. I haven't listened in a while. I remember I would listen to a few last year, and we saw how last season turned out. I will say this. Mario Cristobal is going out of his way to mention specific players by name. He has not. I feel, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking back to last year after those preseason scrimmages, and I'm trying to remember him mentioning certain guys by name, because I feel like he didn't. He would mention certain position groups and touch on them and be like, yeah, we're improving here, improving there, but we got a long way to go. Receivers got a lot of work to do. You know, he wasn't like super animated, super positive. He wasn't super negative. He was just kind of like in the middle and just not giving too much info. This season, he named, first I'll start with Ruben Bain. Let me just give you my quick opinion on this, because yes, I am a big player development guy. I'm a big culture guy. I think it's important, but that's just one piece of the pie. Another piece of the pie is player scouting. Sometimes, more often than not, especially the players that are going to raise the floor, those role players, I think you need to develop them. But then sometimes great players are just found. I believe Ruben Bain is one of those players with limitless ceiling that you just have to find them. And you just point them in the right direction and get the hell out of their way. Ruben Bain's one of those guys. In my opinion, there's a couple in this class that are freshmen right now. It's him and Francis Mauinoa. Both have like all-timer, like Ring of Honor kind of potential. I'm not saying they're going to realize that potential, but both have that kind of potential. So Ruben Bain was, yes, Mitchell's saying it here. Mario Cristobal basically said that when he came in, Ruben Bain was benching 265, 275, something like that. He was weighing 260. So already benching more than your weight. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad for when you come in as a freshman. Now, remember, he just got here. Just a few months later, because he just got here in the spring, dude is benching over 400 pounds and is weighing about 280. Guy's an animal. And Mario described him as such, and he basically said to, not in so many words, he basically said that's the kind of team you want is just a bunch of Ruben Baines. The guy's an amazing player. He's a beast. He's a monster. That's basically what he said. Baines start by week 6. I hope he's that great. It's going to be tough though, because remember, you got a very talented Nigel Kelly who's making strides. You got Chance and Jafari who have experience, but I could see him leapfrogging them. And then you got Mesidor, who's a great player. Nigelique and Mesidor, they're going to be tough to jump over on the depth chart. But I think Bain, at the very least, is making an impact this year. A lot like how Joe Jackson made an impact his freshman year. A lot like how, I don't know if you guys remember back, 2008, linebacker by the name of Marcus Robinson coming off the edge. He was a nice edge rusher early in his career. Those are just guys that come to mind. But that's definitely possible. So he goes out of his way to mention Ruben Bain. He goes out of his way, not out of his way technically. They brought up Mark Fletcher, but I remember exactly what he said here. He said Mark Fletcher is an absolute stud. Those were his exact words. Again, last year, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember him talking that positively about specific players. I don't remember it. Mark Fletcher, from everything I'm hearing, that's another dude that is like, oh, Miami found one. Not, that's this guy, they got to develop his body a bit. He'll learn. No, you found one. Again, point him in the right direction, stay the hell out of his way, because he's going to be great. So this staff knows what they're doing when it comes to scouting players. Trust me. Nobody but Citizen. You mean he mentioned? What do you mean nobody but Citizen? Like, I know he mentioned the running backs. He was complimentary to the running backs, but not Citizen. Is that what you meant? I don't know if Citizen is really active in practice yet, to be honest with you. I know he's still kind of making his way back. I know he had like a minor setback at some point in the offseason, so he's probably working his way through that. I would hope to see Citizen at least maybe like in the second half of the year. I would hope so, because that dude's too talented. Let's see. Peanut, do we have any more blue chips we're recruiting that haven't committed yet? Yeah. I mean, I just mentioned Zaquan Patterson, Chris Cole. Those are 2 big-time targets. Our top uncommitted target at linebacker, Chris Cole, a lot of connections there with, he being, I want to say it's Rohan Marley's nephew. Rohan Marley, who played linebacker here at Miami during the glory years of the early 90s. Zaquan Patterson, who is like, to me, physically like a Kenny Phillips clone. He was also number 1 safety coming out of high school. Zaquan Patterson, a lot of people have him as the number 1 safety right now, or one of the best safeties in the entire country. Those are guys I feel pretty good about at the moment. I didn't say we're getting them. I said I feel pretty good about them. And then, yeah, we're still going after David Stone hard. We're still going. I don't remember off the top of my head if Elias Rudolph is committed. I want to say he is, but we're going after him hard, and we're going after committed guys as well. So yes, Peanut, we are going after some dudes for sure. Cam Franklin, so like he was up on Citizen, but then first got there, when he first got there, like he is on Fletcher. Yeah, look. And Citizen deserved the praise last year. He was looking the way Fletcher looked now, but then Citizen got hurt. Hopefully we don't have that injury bad luck this year. Is James Williams moving to linebacker? Will he be playing all over our defense? He's not. I don't think he's permanently moving to linebacker. He's still considered a very good cover safety. Not as good coming in and run support. He's got to work on those angles he takes. He's got to work on wrapping up better. I'm sure he's working on that now. But I could definitely see him at outside linebacker in certain packages. I would love to see him on downs. Yes, Peanut. Yeah, he's a safety, hybrid safety linebacker right now. I would love to see him on passing downs where he comes in and blitzes. Can you imagine that dude? You're a quarterback and that dude's coming at you. That 6'5", 6'6" freak athlete with the longest limbs you've ever seen. I'd like to see that. That would be cool. And it's a big, honestly, it's a big boost to our linebacker room. Safety, we a little thin. I knew we'd be thin, but he could be a first 2-down guy at safety. You still got Cam. You got, even though Markeith Williams is on the thin side, I think he will play some. He's a little undersized, but if he can make plays, he can make plays. I would throw him out if he's making plays in practice. Jaden Harris moving to safety makes a lot of sense. He's got good size for that. So we'll make it worth thin at safety. Absolutely, we'll make it work. We are not thin at corner and D end, I can tell you that. And linebacker, we got some bodies. A lot of young guys are going to play, but we got a lot of bodies, in my opinion. Been hearing good things about Latson. Hope he does. Dude, and that's another one. The receiver room, I already like the improvement that I'm hearing about and that I've seen from Jacoby George and Kobe Young. Kobe Young looking more svelte, looking quicker, running routes better. He'll be a reliable possession receiver that can maybe beat you over the top occasionally because of his size. Jacoby's well-rounded. He has a nice burst. He's faster than you think. And if they stay healthy, it's going to be pretty much the Kobe and Jacoby show until Ray starts to take over. It's going to take him a few games to adapt. He's a freshman, but I think Ray's another freshman that I think by the end of the season, he's going to be getting a ton of snaps. And then you have all that. You have a reliable X coming back to play, to be in the slot. Xavier Restrepo, you might put him outside. We don't know what we're going to get from Rashard Smith. Very fast, very twitchy. We saw his talent in 2021. We just didn't know how to use him last year, which is incredible. So, you got all those. Let me be clear, though. I don't see a Jackson Smith and Jigba in this group. There's no Marvin Harrison Jr. There's no first-round top 5 pick stud in that room. However, I see a lot of solid in that room. Kobe Young, he could be really solid. Jacoby George, he could be really solid, good playmaker. Ray eventually could have that, Roscoe Parrish, Santana Moss kind of potential. I know it's early to say that. I'm not saying he's going to achieve that, but he will, hopefully, God willing, with his health, he'll, we don't have any injury bad luck there either, like we did with Citizen. He will be, I think, an impactful player for this offense by the end of this very season. But add all that to the fact that Frank Latson is also starting to come around. It's exciting. It's exciting because Frank Latson was a former 5-star recruit. And yes, talent can deteriorate over time. Yes, you're hurt for 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. You fall behind in your development. The dude is still a big target. He was at one time a 5-star recruit. So I think he still has a little bit of that in the tank and can build on it a bit if he just continues putting in the work like he's been doing. Kevin Beard had a lot of praise for him. So wide receiver is another group that, again, there's no alpha number 1 first rounder, but that doesn't mean the receiver room can't be good. You understand what I'm saying? That's just my thoughts on that. Haven't heard Chase Smith name in a while. How's he progressing? Last I heard, Chase Smith is progressing fine and is very close to coming back. Would he be ready game 1? I don't know about that, but he's making his way back, and hopefully soon he'll be ready. That's another one, just like Frank Latson would be a nice big unexpected boost for the receiver room. Chase Smith would be that for the linebacker room. 6'3", 6'4", 235. Very, very fast. I mean, can run sideline to sideline. No problem. Flo, what's going on, sir? Do you think we got a 1,000-yard receiver or running back? If so, who? I don't think we have a 1,000-yard receiver only because the ball is going to be distributed a lot. And I think, like I said, a few guys are going to be really solid and consistent this year. But I don't see. Oh, and yes, in the comments, Tyler Harrell, that's another one. Game-breaking speed. I'll touch on him in a minute. But a 1,000-yard receiver, the only way I see that for a receiver, because we're going to distribute the ball all around the field. 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in some games are going to get touches, which is great. But the only way that's going to happen is if like a Frank Latson or a a Tyler Harrell, somebody with speed like that, somebody with ability like that, just decides to go off since day one. And Tyler Harrell's like, let's say Tyler Harrell has like a Philip Dorsett season from 2014, and he's just burning people on go routes and deep post routes and drag routes taken into the house. Like if he has a season like that where it's like 4 catches, 5 catches, 152 yards and a touchdown, and he could do that like regularly, that's the only way I can see it, is if a guy with game-breaking speed like that, where you can put in right away. Again, Ray has that ability, but he's young. It's going to take a little time for him. But that's the only way I can see that happening for a receiver. For a running back, I think we'll have a 1,000-yard back. I do. Love Henry Parrish. I think the dude ran with courage, and he ran. He's a gritty, tough, strong runner for a guy that's not very big and very disciplined. He's for the team. And he's a culture guy for sure. I just don't think he's going to be the starter game one. I think it's going to end up being AJ Allen and possibly Mark Fletcher maybe towards the end of the season. Right now, he's been the best back in the room so far in practice. He's looked like his talent pops more than everybody. I could see definitely like a thunder and lightning combo of AJ Allen, Mark Fletcher once we get a few games in and they get a better idea of the room. But I see more of a possibility of a 1,000-yard back than a 1,000-yard receiver. Are we close with Simmons? In case you missed it, Hero, we did not land Colin Simmons today. He committed to Texas. But like I was saying it earlier, I would continue to monitor that. I think I could see a possible flip potentially happening later. I think TVD is going to have 300+ yard games, but only throwing 50. Oh, I gotcha. Only throwing it 50 yards in the air, and then the receivers do the work. I would be totally good with that, because at the end of the day, as long as you're making the plays, that's fine. We are going to go vertical on people, though. That's for sure. Fly zone wide open. It could definitely be. It could get like that. All right. Let me cover the other stuff I was going to cover, because I'm only going to be on like 7 more minutes. So he mentioned Ruben Bain. He mentions Mark Fletcher. Another guy he mentions, again, another true freshman from this past class, Damari Brown. He said, word for word, Damari, he pops. Pops, that means, he's getting the attention of the coaches. You got Demetrius Freeney, who he said he was a little banged up. It's nothing serious, but he's a little banged up right now at corner. And that's one I kind of forgotten about. He could add some depth to the room once he gets healthy. Let's see. Praised all running backs. Talked about, or he didn't talk about it, but I'm seeing it in other videos, specifically the freshmen putting in extra work after practice. Love to see that. We didn't see that before. Tyler Harrell, I touched on him earlier. Turns out those rumors of him being injured were basically false. At least he's healthy enough to go out and practice, and that's a great thing. I was very relieved to hear that, because it's like, damn, that's our outside guy that could take the top off the defense, and we just potentially lost him. Hopefully it's not serious. Turns out it was nothing serious at all. Look, he was seen limping off the field. Anybody who's played sports, you tweak something, twist an ankle, whatever. Yeah, you're limping off the field, but once like the swelling goes down, it could be you're fine by the next day, or it could be something you gotta lay off for like 3 or 4 weeks. So injuries are funny like that. Turns out Tyler Harrell, for now, is okay. Let me see if I missed anything. I've been hearing good things about Latson. Yep, covered that. And I think I covered everything. Oh, New one. Okay, no word on Wayne or Campbell. Interesting. Safety depth still an issue for me. Me too. We're thin at safety for sure. If Cam or JW goes down, nobody proven there. I totally agree with you. We can't. There's certain positions that we can't have an injury. Safety's one of them. Safety, quarterback. Although quarterback, that's for most teams. That goes without saying. And yeah, we just gotta make sure those guys stay healthy. That's please. If one position group can stay healthy, it's them. But no, I totally agree with what you're saying. Um, but as for Jaden Wayne, Anthony Campbell, yeah, I haven't heard a lot about Campbell. Pretty quiet. Campbell's that dude we got from the portal, 6'7", 270, 280 pounds, something like that. Definitely a big dude with some height, some length. Jaden Wayne, though, I've heard a little bit. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make this year, but he'll play some snaps. Jaden Wayne's too talented not to. That he's one that might still need a little development to kind of get to where he needs to be. I don't see him as like a Ruben Bain who's just like, yo, we found a gem. But Jaden Wayne is a very talented young man. I think he could develop into a really nice player. Maybe even a great player, maybe an NFL player one day. He certainly has the ability. So, I wouldn't have too much of a knee-jerk reaction on them being quiet on Jaden Wayne. It could just be Ruben Baines taking the attention away. Who knows? But I've heard things here and there. I've heard his name thrown around. I think he's doing all right in practice. Let's see. I'll end with this. Do we still finish with a top 10 class? If we don't, it's like 11th or 12th. I think we're like right there. We're going to finish right there. But yeah, if the season goes as I'm expecting, a much improved 7 to 8 win team that can score a lot of points, that's exciting. Maybe upsets one or two teams on national TV. I think, yeah, absolutely, we can finish with a top 10 class, but it's like back end of the top 10, like sneaking in, like no higher than 7th, in my opinion. We need to win for that to happen. But if you stack 2 top 10 classes in a row, plus more portal guys next year, that could really launch you into it. I don't think it's going to take 5 or 6 years like a lot of us were previously thinking. I think that's the old way of thinking with the transfer portal, basically the new free agency. You can get there in 3 years. You never know. But yes, to answer your question, I think we just barely make it, if not miss it by like 1 or 2 spots. We're going to finish somewhere between like 12th and 8th, in my opinion. Go Canes, John. It's been crazy work, but I'll catch up with you guys start of the season. Can't wait for the season. I think Lance Guidry will have this defense be very aggressive. Oof. I like what I'm hearing from that defense. I like that it's an aggressive attacking style defense. If you remember, we went from Al Golden's 2-gapping style to that it wasn't an attacking like forward downhill defense at all. It was kind of the opposite. It was like an east to west defense, and that's it. We went from that to, I know nobody wants to talk about him, but we went to Manny Diaz's defense. And you know what? It was nice those first 3 years with him. He had a very aggressive attacking downhill style defense, playing some man coverage. Lance Guidry, it's similar to that, but it's a little more complicated. It's designed to disguise blitzes and confuse the opposing offense, which is good. It's for our guys. This is why they're scouting specifically high IQ players, and they're scouting DBs that have a lot of length. It's not the easiest defense to adapt to, but once they do, we're going to be confusing offenses all day. All right, so I'm very excited about that. All right, guys, 82 in the chat. Thank you for popping in this quickly. Some people were like, "Oh, sorry, I'm late." It's like, yeah, don't worry. This was a last minute thing, but I appreciate it. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I think we look like Mark Richt, first year 9-4, go Canes. I think that's very doable. that first Mark Richt year, we were kind of finding our identity. Win the first few easy games. We have that loss that really knocked us off the tracks against FSU. We lose a few, but then we get it back. Win 5 games in a row to end the season. We had the quarterback to do it. We had the offense. We had the guys on offense to do it. You got TVD, a new scheme. That's possible. That's definitely possible. All right, guys. Well, 7:45. I'm out. Have a good night and go Canes.